If you'd like to learn how to make a tricky staircase for your players to negotiate in your obby, keep watching and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Welcome to Roblox Snippets. Alright, we're going to make a tricky staircase, so we're going to build that staircase straight away. So in your studio file, come up to Home and click on a standard part in here. And we're going to come down now, make this any colour you like. I'm going to make mine sort of a brown colour. And then the material, we'll change this. I might make mine like a cliff. So let's say rock. And if we scroll down, we'll leave can collide on and we'll check anchored so that it stays where we put it. And we'll come back up to the size. And well, you can make this any size you like. The height though for our steps that we're going to create is fairly important. So I'm going to make this one 40 and the height will be 14 and make our Z 20. So it's a fairly big piece like this. Now we can move this up. So the height is 14. So if we come down to our position and change our Y value to be half of 14, which will be 7, that will pop it up right in front of us level with the base plate. All right, and we can move that one away from us a little bit. And that, we'll call this our cliff part. All right. So our stairs are going to be coming up here to try and get up to the top of this part over here. Right, so now we'll create one of our steps. So down in front of our spawn point here, we'll create another part. And this one, we'll call this step 1. Right, so we'll make a few of these. And I will change mine to maybe a bit of a darker color. And let's say we look for maybe sandstone. Not terribly important. However, let's move down through our properties and we're going to change our size. Right, so I'm making mine to be 12 by 2 and by 4. All right, and now we've made our height 2, so if we scroll down to our position and change Y to be 1, that will be level with our base plate. Now, I did make this size intentionally because with a bit of experiment, if you run your character up onto this part, it would run onto this part easily at 2 studs. Once you start to go up to 2.5 or 3, then the player has to jump. Now, you may want that to happen to make it harder. However, the idea with this that I've developed is that the player can actually run up the steps. But once again, it's open to whatever you would like to do. So once we have this one step, we're going to duplicate it and bring it up till we get up to the top of our part here. So because we have this size here, let's come up to our model and we'll turn off rotate, but the move, because this is 2 studs high, we'll leave it at that because we're going to duplicate it. So right click on it, duplicate, and move it over 2, all right, because it's 4 wide, and then just move it up 1. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of mine, and you can too, and I'll speed up this part of the video. Make sure you change the steps as you do them to be 2, 3, etc. Okay, through the magic of video, I paused it and just did my parts here. And you should end up, if you've stuck to my measurements, 7 steps. So, and they should be 2 studs up from one another and line up nicely. And then I just move the cliff part to line up with the very top step. So once you have that, we're going to group together all the steps. So click on step 1. All right, actually, no, we're going to do it this way. Come up to workspace and click on plus, and then start typing model in the search box, and then left click on the model. So we've created an empty model here, and what I'd like you to do is drag each of these steps in order into the model. So left click on step 1, drag it in, and step 2, etc. Okay. Alright, so I've dragged all of mine in order, step 1, 2, 3, 4 through to 7. And we can change the name of this model now to be our steps model. And we can just zip that one up. Alright, we're going to make use of that. Now, we can now actually create another model. So if you right click on the steps model and come up to group as model, the steps model is now inside this one, and we will call this, I'll just call this Obby steps. Alright, model. And you can then take your clip part and drag it inside of our Obby steps model. And now we're working with one model that if I move it around, you can place it wherever you like once we're finished with it. So that's the first part, is getting our parts together. And now we'll look at adding in a script to make these stairs appear and disappear. Okay, we're going to add our script into our Obby steps model. So left click on it, click on the plus, and if you don't see script, type it in the search box, otherwise left click on it, and we'll change the name of this to be our steps model. Sorry, not a model, it's a script. Just clicked off it there for a second. Script. And we'll come over here and get rid of hello world, and we're ready to go. So what we're going to do is come down here and collect all of these steps for us to work on. And I'm just going to check down here and to make sure that these are anchored. So if yours are not anchored, then you'll need to go through and anchor them all. And if you need to do that, click on the first one and then hold down shift and click on 7. And if they are all anchored, they should be blue like this. But if you'd missed one, for example, so say I missed step 3 and I'll highlight these, you'll see you get this line inside here showing that they're not all the same. So if you click in there, you've turned them all off, and then click again, and now we know they're all anchored. Alright, so that's just something to be aware of. Alright, back to our script. Let's create a variable which will be all steps, and it will be equal to script.parent.all steps model and get children. So that's going to return this model, or all the parts inside this model, in a table for us to loop through. And the way we do that, well, we're going to do it inside of a function. So local function, and we'll say run steps. And to get this running, take a copy of the function name and put it down below the end here. So when we run, it will run this function for us. Now inside here we'll run our loop. So for I, alright, each step in pairs all steps, so we're going through each one. Whoops. And at the end of this, do. And now we can put our code inside of here. So we can run a check on this to make sure they're all in order by putting in a print, and then I with a comma, and then each step. And this will print out a number 1 through to 7, and hopefully these match up with these here. So if you've got that in there, click on play, and you should see over here that 1 matches up with step 1, 2, etc. all the way down through. Now if they do not, then you didn't drag them in order over here, and the best way to do it is to drag all of these back into the workspace and then drag them back in order. You can fix it in code, but I'm not going to cover it here today. Alright, so we'll stop that there and come back to our script. Right, so we don't need our print statement anymore, so that was just to give us a check. So what we're going to do is, as we loop through here, we're going to change the transparency of each step, and it's can collide, which means the player won't see it and they will fall through it if they're standing on it. And then after a short amount of time, we're going to turn it back on and then move on to the next step. All right, so the way we do that is to say each step dot transparency, all right, equals 1, and this will hide the step. So you can put a comment if you're a beginner. So hide step. and each step dot can collide will equal false. Alright, so fall down. Whoops, we need 2 there. Fall down. Then after that has disappeared, we'll put in a task.wait of, say, well, I've come up with 0.2 seconds, which is fairly quick. And then we're going to reverse what we did here. So you can take a copy of this by highlighting it and then Command or Control C. Below the task.wait, Command or Control V to paste, and then change the 1 to be a 0, which will show the step. And we'll change this can collide to be true. And we can just say, of course, say can run on. All right, until you're familiar with that. Now, if you look at this, this function runs once, but we want it to run over and over again. And you can do this by taking a copy of the function name, so Command or Control C to copy it, and then at the end of this for loop here, just drop down a line and paste it in here. So what's effectively going to happen is, the first time the script runs, it will load the function, so nothing will happen until it gets to here, come up, run through this function, and when it gets to here, it'll run again, and it'll keep going round and round just like a while loop. Okay? So if you've got yours looking like that, then come up to File and Save, and let's give it a play. Alright, as you can see, the stairs are all running and disappearing. Now, there's a couple of changes that you can make to this to make it more difficult. For example, if I run up here and stand here, you'll notice that they're not really wide enough to make it super challenging. If you run up, you do sort of fall through, so you could make these a bit wider if you like. So there's lots of things that you can do to make this better. Now, that's it for creating this obstacle. However, if you would like to see how I insert it into the Obby main game that I'm adding each obstacle into, stick around and for a very quick example, or I'll show you exactly how I do that, and it won't take too long. And sometimes you learn some things that you don't realise until you actually put these into a main game project. So if you're going to stick around, I'll see you shortly. To add this obstacle into our main game Obby, you can zip it up because we've got one model here now, so we can move it around, and the script is all inside of this, so we don't have to get anything else. And right click on the model and come down to Save to File. And when you do that, a window will come up. Now, pick somewhere on your computer that you can find it again. I've created this resources folder inside of the folder for this project, and that's where I'm going to save mine. I've already done it here, so I called it Stairs Model and Script. All right, it's an RBXM file. Okay, so once you've done that, click on Save, and I'll do mine again, and it'll just overwrite that. And when you're done with that, you can close this project and open up the main game Obby if you're following along with me, or you can just watch to see how I do that. So I'll pause the video and I'll be back shortly. Alright, I've opened up my main game Obby, and just for a quick overview of what we've done so far, we have a starting point here, which is a checkpoint. Then we have platforms. These platforms here that are a slightly different color move back and forward. This is a checkpoint. Boxes that you can pick up with animations, and this goal part at the end. So we're going to add our stairs model before this goal part here. So I'll come over and simply move it out of the way. So just over there somewhere, and then come up to the workspace, and we want to right click and insert from file. Then you want to locate your model that we just saved. All right, mine's in my resource script here, and click on open. All right, and it should pop into your workspace somewhere like this. Now, if it's round the wrong way, you can hit Command or Control R on your keyboard a couple of times to spin it around so it's aligned correctly. And by all means, if you are following along, you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing here. You can make it sort of go off left and right and everywhere. So go ahead and do that. Now, I'll move this over here, and we'll just align it in the middle of our platforms here. I think that's pretty close to being level. All right, so we don't want it on the ground. I'll move it up up off the ground, and we'll have the starting step sort of probably run, to make it a little bit difficult, we'll move it back a little bit so that they have to actually jump onto the stairs. And now our cliff part here, if we open up our model, is no longer touching the ground. So what we'll do is scale that one down so that it's touching the ground. And that should be all that we have to do. Now we'll just reposition our goal part up the top here. So currently this is the end of the level that we're creating, and we'll make it up on top of the cliff there. Alright, so once you have that in there, you should be able to give it a save, and let's play. Alright, I'm all loaded in. Now I do have this leader stats up the top here, and we're saving our checkpoints. Well, we're not up to saving yet, that is a future video, but we have a level 1 and the number of boxes that we've created. So we'll jump across our platforms, so our platform is moving correctly and holding our player, you're not slipping. And when you jump onto this one, the checkpoint changes, so we're now 2, and when I land on a box, I collect that. Right, so it's good to just go through and make sure everything is working as you would expect. So this is now checkpoint 3, and we have 2 boxes. Alright, and we're up to, and as you see, I fell off the platform and came straight back to checkpoint 3. Now when we jump over onto this platform, now we have to try to negotiate our stairs. So I'll wait for the bottom and then run up. And I just made it. Alright, so it's probably a little bit challenging, but not too challenging. But by all means, make these bigger and more challenging if you wish. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Obby that I create to add to this main game. I'll see you there. If you found this video useful, subscribe now. For more information about my online courses, go to mrbrendanross.com.